So, folks, um, super important today is the first day people can start voting in the Wisconsin election. We are pulling for Judge Susan Crawford for the Wisconsin State Supreme Court because, folks, hey, turns out that's happening. That race is going on. Elon Musk has dumped millions of dollars into it, and in order to combat that, we need people to actually show up and to vote. If you're in Wisconsin, we need people to do door knocking, phone banking. Good on you, Olive Rilder, for sending in your ballot. Folks, if you are able to, here is an event for Indivisible set for March 22nd and March 29th, respectively. I'm going to copy and paste this over into chats. Folks, so if you want to work with Indivisible and also stump for Crawford, get out there with Indivisible. And also, folks, if you are not local to, if you're not local to Wisconsin, you can still phone bank for Susan Crawford.
Should I ask my rep what she plans to do to protect TG people, or should I ask how Democrats are actually going to end fascism?
You know, any of them would work. Here we go. If you would like to phone bank, you can do that anywhere in the country. There's a great event happening March 25th, and you can join from anywhere. That is 6 days from now, folks. So here you go. Go phone bank for Susan Crawford. Get out there. Get out there, folks. We need people to do phones. We need people to volunteer on the ground. Please do so. We need to combat the millions upon millions of dollars that are currently being poured into that race by Elon Musk in order to elect one Brad Schimmel, who, well, doesn't believe in abortion, for one. And wants to bring back gerrymandering to Wisconsin, the thing that fucked up the entire state for about 12 years. So, you know, maybe some things to keep in mind as we go forward. What? Was I not clear? We want to make sure that Susan Crawford wins so that people in Wisconsin can still get abortions. Oh, he's openly advocating for gerrymandering? Yeah, you know. There in Wisconsin in particular, there's been court battles around like gerrymandered maps for years now. He supported the old gerrymandered maps. Tried to argue that they were in fact very fair and balanced.
Driving up.
So that's where we're at. Please go organize for Crawford, all right? And one of the things we need to talk about here is that, like, a lot of folks, a lot of folks are kind of the opinion that, like, well, hey, you know, why would anyone vote for Democrats now or left-leaning folks now, you know? these Trumpers in rural areas, they're never gonna see the light. They're never gonna like come around. They're never gonna be radicalized. And I've seen that sentiment in this very community as well. And one of the things we have to talk about here is that, like, well, maybe there's some hope. Maybe maybe we can actually, find out that like people give a shit. Like here.
My medication, it runs $20,000 a month without insurance. I make $800 a month. Oh, that will kill me. That would kill my friends. That would kill millions of people in this country if they lose their health care.
We're in California's District 22, a rural community in the state's Central Valley. This district voted for Trump for the first time in 2024, but now his policies threaten one of the benefits people here rely on the most.
It bothers me when people like Elon Musk say that people on those programs are the parasite class. It's just cruel.
Do you know anyone personally who voted for President Trump but depends on benefits like Medicaid?
Oh yeah. I know a lot of people.
Trump promised a lot of things. I thought it would be more family values and those programs that we really need here.
One of those promises was to protect Medicaid, which 67% of people in this district rely on. It's the largest percentage of any district in the entire country.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, we're not going to touch it.
But his administration just proposed an $880 billion cut to Medicaid over the next 10 years. So we wanted to come here to find out how people are feeling about Trump and his administration's decision that could have a huge impact on one of the benefits they rely on the most.
So, yeah, like, one of the things we're talking about here, folks, is that, yeah, if you pay attention to politics, it's not surprising that Donald Trump would lie. But if you don't pay attention to politics, say you're someone who is just kind of vaguely paying attention to politics and, doesn't really care about like the debates or anything like that, you just kind of absorb things via osmosis. One of the effects of the kind of Trump cult of personality is that it operates like a cult. It evangelizes for Donald Trump, okay? And so part of the insidiousness, especially I think in these rural communities, is that this personality cult starts trying to bring in other people in their local communities. And so people who are very low information start getting more of their information from, Rick down at the hardware store. Rick always seems to be handy with a hammer and, knows a lot about home renovation. And, he's really actually quite handy to have around. And, you have him over and he's working on your bathroom grout problem. And he starts talking about, how Donald Trump really wants the best. And he wants to, like, make sure that, like, people are going to do good, and really all this grout problem you're having, somehow it's related to the economy.
The side effect of face eating is that it makes it easier to convince people to shoot leopards.
I mean, not wrong. But don't do that. You know what you're doing. But what you need to understand here is that these people are very low information voters. And so what ends up happening is that these people, well, Donald Trump vaguely aligns with their values in some way. And, their friends are saying Donald Trump is the guy. Their friends who are in that Trump cult, he's the guy. And that starts kind of spreading in these rural communities. Because, guys, one thing you have to understand about these rural communities is that they are, everyone knows each other. They all talk with each other. Okay? It's social. And they often, all go to the same church. And they start propagating information through the lens of kind of Christian nationalism or something like that. And it is, I mean, pretty soon, it turns out that, oh, wait a minute. Donald Trump's actually fucking us. I disagree because when given info, they reject it. Yeah, when given info from a stranger, when given info from someone they have already categorized as, someone who should be disregarded, yeah. But when they're given information from their pastor, from their worship leader, from their, friends and family in their local community, I think it goes a lot farther. Now, you can say, well, they're going to reject that info. Yeah, because for them, they don't believe the new information. They simply don't believe it. Because in order to change your beliefs, it's not enough to simply be presented with information. You have to believe the validity of that information, right? They pick Punisher and Rivals. I don't know what that means because I'm old. Yes, I saw that mini-me. Yeah, exactly, Nomi Sunrider. One of the most effective anti-COVID hysteria tools was simply saying, well, I got the vaccine and I'm fine. Yep. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly, one-eyed heathen. I'm not saying people, oh, well, time to go evangelize. We need to go reverse evangelize the MAGA folks. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that what's coming up here is a mass radicalizing event that will allow us to offer a narrative and an explanation to these people as they slowly and in greater numbers continue to get fucked over. Okay? Like, like this pain that people are going to be feeling is real, and you can try and spin it however you'd like, but again, I bring it back to common sense, which is that in an authoritarian style of government, the kind of government that Donald Trump is trying to emulate, people at the bottom, when they get screwed over, know who to blame for that. They know exactly where the buck stops. Unlike in a more complicated egalitarian system with checks and balances and labyrinthine, bureaucracy.
My landlords are the same way. They're the nicest people, and haven't raised my rent in 25 years. They're Trump fans and were completely taken with right-wing propaganda, but there are cracks forming.
Yeah, exactly, Pluvius. And I'm not saying like everyone needs to go out and like start shit talking Trump to their MAGA folks, but like if you see those cracks forming, put a little wedge in those cracks. Help those cracks stay open and get bigger. Wherever you can. And that's not going to be like by posting on the internet. That's going to be like with people around you. Well, here's an example of a county that voted Trump, Alan Showerman, that knows exactly what happened to them.
One resident who would be impacted by Medicaid cuts is 64-year-old Irma Arredondo, who voted for Trump in 2024. Irma has several chronic health issues, including type 1 diabetes. She's also a full-time caregiver for her daughter, who has cerebral palsy, and her sister, who has Turner syndrome.
Valerie have her medication for her seizures. She needs care everything. And I just give massage to her hands, to her legs. I stay with her until she falls asleep.
Sounds like you take really good care of her.
Oh, and my baby is my doll.
So you, your sister Irene, and your daughter Valerie, you're all on Medicaid. And how important is Medicaid for your family?
Wow, can you imagine? We live on a daily basis with sicknesses. This is for the cholesterol too. This is also for my
Like guys, there are millions of people like this lady. Literally millions of people like this lady. Who did not know how much they were fucking themselves. Amber Brains, we'll celebrate next stream if that's all right with you.
high blood pressure.
So Medicaid pays for all of it.
Yes.
If you didn't have Medicaid, how much would this cost you? How much money?
Oh, thousands maybe.
Thousands.
Thousands.
And that's just for you,
That's for me.
not for your daughter, not for your sister.
No, the medicine that my daughter takes for seizures, I won't be able to afford it. So we feel hopeless if those cuts come. You know. What we're going to do.
Irma was a farm worker for more than a decade. She believes that
Like I'm sorry here, but like, what are we gonna do? You know, like what are we going to do? Understand here that like this is real. People will die without this. $880 billion does not come at zero human cost. And when we say like suffering is going to, you know, push these people to action, like it's going to be out of necessity. And I'm not asking people to feel empathy or sympathy, but like what I'm asking for is a recognition of the simple systemic effect this is going to have. Did the giant cuts pass? No. The government is remaining open for the next 6 months, and then they're going to vote on the cuts. So the vote will happen in September now. It's already stressing people the fuck out. Yeah. And you know, like, the realization is dawning in America that, like, this is real. And these people in particular who have to pay attention to these systems are realizing it a lot faster than maybe other people who don't, you know? And like, this is the kind of suffering, this is the kind of mass worker awakening that could potentially motivate a wide-scale unrest with potential political reforms as a result. The goal here is to be aware that this is coming and to be active in our communities in order to make sure that the people around us know what direction things need to go. Because understand that when we hit like a period of mass unrest, you know, riots in the streets, etc., what happens is that people look for a narrative. People look for the direction they want to take things.
I feel like I am holding my breath waiting for Donald to drop the boot on my Medicaid.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Start, and I know like it's easy for me to say, but like we all need to start being proactive. We need to start going to our Tesla takedown protests, our indivisible local protests. We need to start becoming an active political force in our communities. You know, you can start with phone banking for Susan Crawford in Wisconsin, because that state Supreme Court race is going to dictate whether or not women have the right to abortion in Wisconsin, along with a myriad of other things. Okay? That's one relatively low effort way you can impact politics. Okay? And but more importantly, you need to start going to your local political meetings. Okay? Whether that's local DSA, local Democrats, local insert whatever group that is active in your community. It can be like a Meals on Wheels type situation, a soup kitchen, a homeless shelter, whatever. You need to start building up in your community and talking with people, maybe printing out leaflets to drop around and educate folks. You need to start trying to unionize your workplace, get your apartment unionized if you can. You need to look around and see and ask yourself seriously, what can I do today? Okay? What can I do today? And the thing we need to realize is that when unrest comes, yes, it does open the door for potential positive political reforms, but it also opens the door for an authoritarian government to try and justify harsh militaristic crackdowns. We need to be ready for stuff like that to happen. And one of the best ways we can be ready for that is by organizing politically on a local level. Okay? On a local and a state level. Making me think when I wake up, what can I do? That's exactly what I want. What I want is for you guys to be thinking, what can I do today? What can I learn today? What skills can I get today that will help? My lifelong Republican mother is starting to crack finally. She asked if I think Musk might be not a good guy. Yeah, maybe a bit not a good guy.
Want to do?
Irma was a farm worker for more than a decade. She believes that some of her and her children's health issues can be linked to the pesticides she was exposed to while working in the fields.
When I was pregnant with my child, I was working in the field. I remember it was this little airplane and sprayed us. But when my baby born, the doctor just said, "Uh-oh, something's missing." And when he gave me my baby doesn't have her arm.
So with these risks that you and your community face in agriculture, and then to have the system threaten to take away your health insurance, to take away protection, how does it make you feel?
Like I told you, I feel like these stubby nuts in the back, but why when we put food on their tables, that we risk our health. Look at me right.
Dead Domain, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, folks. How we all doing? We're talking about radicalization and what people can do as more and more folks get woken up to what is going on, the potential Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security cuts that are coming down the pipeline. Also, hit that follow button on Twitch, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, like the YouTube stream. Let's keep going. And yes, Bastion, people who work in fields often get exposed to all kinds of chemicals that get rained on said fields by planes, sprinklers, etc., fertilizer. And the ugly reality is that these companies that do these mass agriculture projects simply just don't give a fuck if they're poisoning their workers. They just don't care. They do not give a fuck.
Now, look at me, how many sicknesses that I have. The COPD, I didn't have COPD at that time. We got all in the fields. Where else?
We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board.
The $880 billion in Medicaid cuts proposed in President Trump's budget will help pay to permanently extend his 2017 tax cuts.
The largest tax breaks would go to the wealthiest individuals. Are those your values?
No, that's not right. ¿Por qué van a hacer tanto recorte? Sí, tanto recorte. ¿En dónde lo van a poner ese dinero? ¿Dónde?
In the last election, who did you vote for?
I feel embarrassed to tell you that before years, all the years back, since I got my citizenship, I said I was a Democrat, but then, in these last elections, I voted as a Republican. Why? Because I'm against abortion. Para mí la palabra conservador es tener valores. I grew up with values, you know.
You know, like, I've never understood it. I've never understood it. You know, it's like, okay, you can be against abortion. Other people believe something different from you. I don't understand this intention to force your views on other people regarding what should be done with their bodies.
Con las enseñanzas de mis padres.
Family values.
Family values.
Irma isn't the only one in District 22.
I mean, your vote for family values in this case, you know, you wanted to strip the right from women to get abortions. You may have done that, but I mean, it's gonna kill you, your sister, and your child. Like, I don't know that that's worth that.
Who feels betrayed by the administration's plan to gut Medicaid.
The only people they're hurting are the poor people, people that really need the stuff. Elon Musk doesn't need it, Trump doesn't need it, and, you know, billionaires don't need it.
They're making out big time.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that these folks are fascists, you know? I think that most of them are low information folks who generally don't know that they're voting for someone who's going to fuck them over in order to enrich his buddies. And like, the point I'm trying to make here is that the suffering that they're about to experience is going to be an opportunity to radicalize them to better politics. You know? And like, I think complicity with a fascist government means you are fascist? Yes. But also, does that mean you are permanently exiled to being, like, permanently condemned to be a fascist? No. People's political views change. You know? And I think a lot of people get raised up in a lot of really awful conservative propaganda. I know I was. I was raised in a ton of conservative propaganda that told me things like trans people could not exist, that gay people should be reviled, that abortion was, you know, a sin against God. And you know what? Took a fuck ton of work, but I unlearned that stuff. And not everyone has already gone through the process of putting in a fuck ton of work in order to unlearn that shit. It's a lot, you know? Yeah, Story Girl, that's kind of my view on it. A lot of these folks are victims of a con. Exactly. And like, does that make them less dangerous? No, but does it mean that they are potentially people who can be radicalized against the regime? Yes. And I think that is very important to understand and keep in mind as we go forward. I'm not asking people to be like, oh man, pobrecitos, you know, like I'm not asking for that. But like, I am asking for people to understand systemically what is going to happen if these tax cuts go through, and what that opens the door to, for better and worse.
With this, but they're hurting people in the process.
District 22's representative is David Valadeo, a Republican who voted in favor of the budget resolution to cut Medicaid, after initially voicing concerns about how potential cuts to social programs could affect his constituents. If just 2 Republicans vote no on the final legislation, they could stop Medicaid from being cut.
The folks in this district have voted for him because he, in the past, has been able to stand up against his party. But now he's really stuck between a rock and a hard place because it seems as if the Trump administration...
My father used to say to me, "Child of mine, who do you punish? The liar for telling the lie? Or the victim for believing it?" Was never sure why. Now I think I am. Watching this. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, I thank you for the $5 dono. I think that's wise. Yeah.
Administration is going to really ask for loyalty from him and for him to play ball on every single issue, not just the issues that play well in this district. And so that might mean that they expect him to vote for things that are going to hurt his constituents directly.
If we could go back to November, who would you vote for now, seeing what you see?
For either one.
You just wouldn't have voted.
None either.
Yeah, it's very sad that there's no political leadership that you feel you can vote for.
Maybe, they can, like you said, Democrats or Republican. Maybe they have, I'm not going to say that everything is bad, but the most important things. But the only good things is for them. To us, always going to be the good things,
Like, think about that. Think about that particular moment right there. That is someone who looks at their prospects as somebody who lives full-time as a caretaker for, both her sister and her child and deals with debilitating chronic illness. They look at both parties and they say, well, the Democrats are just going to means test my programs and possibly, slash our benefits. The Republicans are just going to take them away. And either way, someone I love is going to die. They look at that and they're like, this is no real choice. And this is why I think we need to demand better leadership from the Democrats. Why we need to demand things like Chuck Schumer stepping down. And that's because, simply put, the current leadership of the Democratic Party has proven itself completely and utterly incapable of meeting working class folks. Real, actual people like this who rely on these programs to live and who vote in order that they've abandoned them. What does means testing mean in this context? It means that different programs have attached to them work requirements or the requirement to stay below a certain threshold of income. If you go over that income, you lose your benefits, which dissuades people from working, or alternatively, having requirement that, in order to receive Medicaid, you have to be looking for a job, and you have to be able to verify that you've been looking for a job, and then you have to be able to verify that you're working a job that's 20, 30 hours a week. Different things like that, different hoops you have to jump through in order to get the program that is meant to serve you. It is, it's bad. Universal programs are basically almost always far more effective than means tested ones. Means testing is just a way of slashing benefits. Beep bop boop boop. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. And so what I want to emphasize here is not that the response here to vote for neither party is correct. It's not. But what I want to emphasize here is that the reason she says neither is because she looks at the Democratic Party and does not see a party that is capable of fighting for the lowest income folks, the least among us, the folks who are struggling the most. And the Democratic Party should be a party of the downtrodden. It should be the party of the worker. It should be the party that sparks hopes, like hope and dreams in the hearts of the populace. You know, it should be like the party that allows people to, you know, stand up when they get kicked down. That's what the Democratic Party should be. And our current leadership is just simply incapable of delivering on that, which I do want to say, if you are interested in sending a message to one Chuck Schumer, Indivisible has an effort ongoing right now in order to get rid of him. Let me see if I can pull up that tab. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Email your Democratic senator and demand they call on Senator Schumer to step aside. The pressure has been mounting against Chuck Schumer, by the way, since the recent kerfuffle, the recent betrayal in the Senate. So you can send him a message via your senator with this link to email your senators, okay? He is uniquely vulnerable right now. All right? Yeah, the Democratic Party should be for the working class of America. Let's wrap this up. More Perfect Union does such a great job.
You feel that way. It's always going to be the bad things.
Always.
For you.
Yeah. I guess that was the end. My bad. I'm chronically ill and can actually die slowly and painfully if they take away my Medicaid. Disability said you are in pain, but you can work. Yep. Jolie Bonnet, Art, I'm really sorry to hear that. And yeah, people are going to suffer, and it's going to be awful. And that's why I want folks to get out there and start fighting now. The sooner you get up and figure out how you are going to fight back, how you are going to be a constructive part of this, the better. Yeah, exactly, that one American. And like the thing about Tim Walz is not that he is like just an inherently good little like socialist who's doing his best, you know.
I think I am going to do a John Oliver and mail them horse semen.
Don't do that, you will get arrested. But thank you for the $5. But what I want to say here is that like Tim Walz is not like a lefty. He's a liberal. He's just a liberal who understands how to do politics and understands that people on a fundamental level need to see service provided to them by the government. Like that's important, you know? People need to see the Democratic Party fighting for the working class, and they need to see results. The results of fighting for the working class allowed the Democratic Party to dominate politics for, 40, 50 years. And what we're seeing now is just like a complete abdication of that. An extraction of the value from the Democratic Party via neoliberal ideology. And so Tim Walz is just a good politician who understands that like that New Deal liberalism, that idea that the government has to actually work. And that's alien to like the wider Democratic Party. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Lean into the Tim Walz energy and reorient towards organized labor. Hell yeah, droning goddess. That's exactly what we need to do. Anyway, segment done. We're moving on. Moving on.